So what's the bottom line when it comes to our chances of ever seeing an event like the Portland 200 come to the lower mainland?
Well, when I say racing car, does something like this come to mind? A great big V8 engine producing untold horsepower, tires wide enough to handle all that brute force, and bodywork that's so modified it's hard to tell what this car started out life as. No doubt about it, this is a racing car. However, this car has a couple of drawbacks. One is that it costs close to $70,000 to build. The other is that when this driver straps on his helmet and prepares to do battle, he'll only have one other car on the racetrack to race with. So here's an alternative. A box-stock Honda Civic. Better still, a whole bunch of Honda Civics.
Just about any car can be made raceworthy with the addition of a few safety features. A window net, a roll cage, and a competition seatbelt, all designed to protect the driver in the event of an accident.
Other features that distinguish Honda Michelin racing cars from regular Civics are a brash exhaust note, more for the crowd's benefit than to make the cars go faster, and Michelin radial tires. No, these ones aren't worn out. The drivers shave the tires down like this for better traction. The Honda Michelin series is growing in leaps and bounds, and it's attracting people with absolutely no racing experience, all the way up to and including people who have raced and won on tracks throughout Europe and North America. The attraction is inexpensive, low maintenance, extremely close competitive racing.
I reckon it's an excellent place to start for young drivers to learn, and it's a good place for experienced drivers to show their sponsors and show the public just how hard we really try. And we really do try hard. We're absolutely flat out all the time. It's the closest racing you can get, and this has happened in Europe now, that they've started to take specific classes like Renault and all these small cars and run them all together. And the Honda started in '75, and it's been the most successful series in Canada they've ever run. The nice part about the Honda is you pay $7,200. That's absolutely complete with roll bar, everything you really need. And the nice part I like about it is everything's under warranty. Where have you ever gone racing with a race car that's under warranty? If I bust the gearbox this afternoon, it's replaced under warranty. Every moving part in the car is covered by Honda. And I think that's a fabulous way for a young guy to start motorsport.
This particular race was the final one of the season, and it saw Tony's teammate Frank Allers with a commanding 29-point lead over Ian McIntosh in car number 24. All Frank had to do was finish the race, and he would win the BC championship. So you'd expect that he would just cruise, right? Well, that doesn't seem to be the way that the Honda Michelin game is played. Tony and Frank, driving very much as a team, hooked up and almost immediately began to pull away. With equal cars, the driver that wins knows he's the best driver, not the owner of the best car. Today, that honor went to Tony Morris.
It was hard work, David. We didn't give up from the beginning to the end. And that's good, actually, because there's no way you can afford to relax in these cars. So I really enjoyed the day. It was a fabulous weekend.
Second place was more than enough to give Frank Allers the series title. But as soon as he was out of the car, he was plotting and scheming for his next big challenge.
October the 7th, they have the Canadian Championship at Saint-Jovite in Quebec, and we're going to run there and see if we can win that.
Are the cars exactly the same in Quebec and Ontario as they are in BC?
They are, but they've been running them a little longer than we have here. They ran them last year, and so they may have a couple of tricks we don't know about. We'll hope to find those quickly.
Winning is the object of the game, but it's not everything. Kathy Perdue has just completed her very first season. Tonight on Auto Check, we'll help Westwood Racing Circuit celebrate its silver anniversary by looking at some of the equipment that will be on the track this coming weekend. 25 years ago, the Sports Car Club of BC began operating Westwood. Its popularity has grown steadily among drivers and race fans alike. July 21st and 22nd, cars from all over the Pacific Northwest will congregate at the twisting 1.8-mile track to be part of the biggest racing weekend on the 1984 calendar. Local driver Ross Bentley will be competing in two of the many races. In one, he'll drive this car, the Phoenix Communications Firebird, prepared to Trans Am racing specifications. Bentley will also compete in the feature race of the weekend in his Keen Engineering Formula Atlantic. Bentley was good enough to lend us both of his race cars so that we might give you a better idea of what to watch for at the track. The Formula Atlantic cars are similar in many ways to the World Championship Formula One cars. Both are open-wheel rear-engine cars built to extract the maximum performance from man and machine. Racing is a potentially dangerous sport, and therefore safety is of paramount concern. With the bodywork removed from the Formula Atlantic car, Tony talked about the safety features built into the modern racing car.
Well, I think the main thing that the viewers can see, Dave, is the seatbelt arrangement. Obviously, you've got 2 shoulder straps, 2 side straps like you would have in a normal car, and 2 crotch straps coming up to stop the driver submarining. So that's basically the main thing.
Now, what about this suit you're wearing? This is not the standard auto check garb that we're used to seeing.
No, this is a triple-layer Nomex suit with Nomex underwear on it. And this would give a driver approximately 11 seconds if the car went in fire to get out. Now, 11 seconds is a long time, really, in a case of an emergency.
Fire must be one of the greatest fears a racing driver has to face. What other considerations have been made for fire safety in this car?
Well, we have a switch in here in the car that the driver can hit immediately. The fire starts, and the fire extinguisher system covers him up. And in the helmet that we have here, there's a oxygen mask, or oxygen attachment right here that fits into a tank at the back, and that gives him the time that he has with the suit to get out the car and get some fresh air into him.
You've got some pretty jazzy-looking gloves there. What are they for?
Well, Dave, this is, again, like quadruple Nomex. Obviously, the driver's got to get out, and if the car's on fire, then he's got to be protected. Another very good part about this glove, people wonder why they're red, but obviously with the cars coming in behind him, and he has a problem, he's got to let them know right away, so his hand goes right up, and it's a bright orange color, and of course the driver behind him can see it immediately. So it's a good safety aspect, not only in the actual coverage that it's got, but in its purpose of the color.
In watching coverage of motor races, I've heard people talking about fuel cells. Can you explain those to us?
Well, a fuel cell is like a bag tank, actually. It's got the aluminum on the outside of it, and then it's got like a rubber solution on the outside, which actually makes the bag, and then inside that there's foam. So if we did have an impact, obviously the outer cover could be damaged, and then you've still got the inner cover, and then you've got the inner cover again. So there's 3 sets of safety factors built in before the actual gas would come apart. So you've probably seen cars at Indianapolis where they've come up and they've hit the wall and spun around. The bag tanks, or wherever they're positioned in the car, either they'll separate or there'll be a well-contained compartment.
So gasoline spillage and fuel spillage is not really a problem with this kind of a car?
Not really, unless you roll it up in a ball, and then it's a big problem, but basically no.
The safety features that we've talked about and looked at in this car, which is quite simple to do because the bodywork all comes off, would you find most of these features incorporated in other racing cars?
Absolutely, yeah.
So the people that have the impression that racing drivers are bloodthirsty, dicing with death kinds of devil-may-care people don't really understand the situation.
No, that's correct. They're out there doing 200 miles an hour. They don't want to be messing around. They're not trying to touch wheels or anything like that. They want to get around the racetrack as fast as they can and as safely as they can.
Once the designers and builders have done what they can to make the car as safe and as fast as possible, it's up to the driver. Tony didn't have to be asked twice when offered a turn at the wheel of the Phoenix Racing Team's Firebird Trans Am car.
It's been 5 or 6 years since I drove a Trans Am car like this one, the Phoenix Communication Firebird, and I got to praise the guys for a fantastic job of preparation. It's definitely got the same horsepower and a much nicer feel than my old Camaro had, and it was a joy to drive it today. All the gauges, everything is so nice and neat in front of you. The steering position, the gear shift's so close to you. The peripheral vision, front and rear, is fantastic. The car handled really well, and I was really pleased with it. This car is capable of doing 150 miles an hour here at Westwood, so obviously it's a great thing to come and watch this weekend. The tires we've talked about in auto check before have been radial, stuff like this, but on this car, they're true race tires. They're a bias tire, very wide, 12, 14 inches wide. The wheels are steel wheels, they're 10 inches wide. The brakes are 4-wheel disc brakes all the way around, which makes fantastic braking going into a corner where you're doing about 150 miles an hour into the hairpin. The car itself just handles beautifully. The car has a 305 cubic inch engine, the same engines that you see in the Firebirds and the Z28s hang around the street. The car basically looks like a Firebird, but it's a space frame car really with fiberglass body panels all the way around it. It's really a racing car. You can't say anything else about it. It's got a Franklin quick change rear end in it, a Borg-Warner gearbox, and of course the Chevrolet motor. So basically, it is an out-and-out race car. Obviously, the track is suited for race cars rather than street cars. In turn 1, it's a third gear corner, and you go down the dip of turn 1, up over the hill into turn 2, and you change there into second gear. You change quickly back up into third for turn 3, and it's a very, very fast part of the track. That's the part you make up the most time. Up into fourth gear as you go over Deer's Leaf, and down into the hairpin, you go third, down into second. It's a really tight, very tight corner. You're pretty well stopped right there, so you use as much horsepower that you can coming back out again. You go second gear, back up into the S's, as it's called, into third, and back up the main street in fourth gear. So you pass the start-finish line in fourth gear around about 2,500 RPM. I'm sure you'd like to see 30 cars on the track. Well, this Sunday at Westwood, June the 21st and 22nd, you'll see 30 cars on the track similar to this one. Our thanks again to Phoenix Communications for the use of our Firebird, and let's see you all at Westwood this Sunday.
Westwood's Silver Jubilee celebration, July 21st and 22nd, promises to be the best racing we'll see here this summer, with everything from the giant sedans to the little tiny go-karts and the super-fast Formula Atlantics, plus a few other surprises as well. That's AutoCheck for this week. We'll look forward to seeing you at Westwood this Saturday and Sunday.